Welcome into America's Retirement Headquarters, home of the Retirement Guys Formula and America's Medicare Associates. Securities offered through Peak Brokerage Services, LLC. Advisory services offered through the Retirement Guys Formula, registered investment advisor. America's Retirement Headquarters, America's Medicare Associates, and the Retirement Guys Formula are separate and independent entities from Peak Brokerage Services, LLC. Welcome into America's Retirement Headquarters, home of the Retirement Guys Formula, America's Medicare Associates, and Retirement Tax Partners with Scott Kirchner. 419-794-3030 is the phone number. It's 419-794-3030. Online, arhq.com, the newly revamped arhq.com. Feel free to go check that out at your leisure. My name is Chris Vaughn. Today on the show, you may notice at the beginning, I did say Scott Kirchner. Have not spoken with him in a while, and so we're going to take a deep dive into the world of Medicare. But before we do that, Scott, glad to be with you. Glad to see you, man. How are you doing?
Yeah, you know what, Chris? It's great to be back. I've had a little hiatus from the radio. Nolan's been doing a lot on the radio here, and I've been busy. You know, just because we're not in an enrollment period, people are still turning 65, and people still need help with Medicare. So things are actually going quite well, quite busy. We've got Troy and Dan in the office are really killing it for us. We've had what I would consider a banner year. This could be our best year we've had so far. And Medicare is getting ready to make some drastic changes for 2026. So be on the lookout for those coming up here in the next couple of months.
It's very important to be aware of that so you're not caught off guard coming in January. So appreciate you, still holding down the fort, maybe a little bit behind the scenes right now. You do actually have a workshop coming up this coming Tuesday, a Medicare workshop. If people are interested in that, they want to get more information, they can go to the website, like I said, arhq.com. But let's go ahead and give them a little sneak peek right now because, Again, working in the world of Medicare, I know you get all kinds of questions, and we don't have to field all of them right now, but let's, if you don't mind, talk about the 5 most common Medicare questions that you get.
Well, I'm going to walk you through the top 5 Medicare questions that I get asked most often with the people that I meet with on a day-to-day basis. Now, this is, no particular order. It's just, the top 5 questions that we get. And then I'm also going to do another video showing some of the top 5 questions that are not asked that should be. But question number 1, when should I enroll in Medicare? Well, this is probably the most common question I get. And one of the things I've always said on all of the shows I've ever done is it depends. And I know that that's not a good answer, but it does really depend on a couple of scenarios and situations that you may be coming into. Most people are eligible for Medicare at age 65. So you have enrollment periods. You have what's called your initial enrollment period, and this is the first time you can enroll in Medicare. And that is typically the time when you are first turning 65. You've got 3 months prior, the month of, and 3 months after your 65th birth month to actually enroll in Medicare. Now, the other thing is if you are working, you actually can choose to put off enrolling in Medicare. That actually is a lot of different scenarios, which we're going to talk about in another video that I'm going to put out there also. If you are collecting Social Security, you will automatically be enrolled in Medicare. You won't have to do anything. It just automatically happens. So if you're enrolled in Social Security, you'll get Medicare automatically. If you're not taking Social Security, then you have to be proactive and actually do the application and enroll in Medicare yourself. This is where I can actually help you. You can come into the office, you can schedule on our website, or give us a phone call to schedule an appointment. We can sit down and go through the actual enrollment process for you. I do have a video that out on the website. It's americasmedicareassociates.com. And on that site, I've got a video specifically geared towards enrollment periods and how to actually enroll. The next question that we get is, what is the differences between Part A, Part B, Part C, and Part D? Well, this is another very, very common question. I'm going to briefly hit this for you and move on to the next question. But this question is very simply this. Part A is hospitalization. It's as simple as that. It covers hospital stays. If you're in the hospital, go from the hospital to a skilled nursing facility. This is where coverage A for hospitalization comes into play. It does also cover some blood work that is done through the hospital. So Part A is hospitalization. Part B is going to be your medical services. This is going to be your durable medical equipment, your physician fees, your MRIs, your CTs, your X-rays. This is all of the physician fees. So Part A, hospital, Part B, medical. Now I'm going to jump to Part D. I'm going to skip C, and I'm going to jump to Part D. Part D is actually the prescription drug portion of Medicare. You have to purchase a drug card once you're initially eligible, and that is covered under Part D for the prescription drugs. And then we go back to Part C. Part C is actually what is referred to as the Advantage plans. I'm sure all of you are very familiar with what an actual Advantage plan is. If not, we can help you understand better what those are. But the Part C Advantage plans actually cover Part A, Part B, and Part D all in one plan. The next question I get quite frequently is, can I delay Medicare if I'm still working? Once again, I know I keep referring to this, but there is a video out on our website that actually discusses in detail whether or not you should or shouldn't take Medicare if you are actually working. So here's the big question with that. If you're still working and you have employer-sponsored health coverage, either yourself or on your spouse's plan, you are turning 65, you do not have to sign up for Medicare. You don't have to sign up for Part A, Part B, Part D, anything if you've got employer-sponsored coverage. Now, the caveat to that is this. If you work for an employer with 20 or more employees, then you do not have to sign up. Your employer plan would be primary, Medicare would be secondary. If you work for an employer with less than 20 employees, then I would highly advise and encourage you to sign up for Medicare to avoid any late enrollment penalties. So you don't necessarily have to sign up for Medicare if you are on an employer plan. It really comes down to dollars and cents and benefits and coverages. I encourage you to check out our other video that gets into more detail about that. Another question we have is, what does Medicare not cover? This is a big one because a lot of people aren't really familiar with all of the coverages that are not included in Medicare. For example, dental, vision, and hearing are not part of the original Medicare coverage. If you want these coverages, then you have to be proactive and actually sign up for these independent individual benefits and coverages. Yes, there is a premium that comes along with that. They do have premiums attached to them. Long-term care. This is probably the most overlooked benefit out there. And we cover long-term care on a separate policy, separate plan for you. But Medicare does not cover long-term care. Please don't confuse this with skilled nursing. Skilled nursing coverage is covered under the Medicare, but long-term care past 101 days, there is no coverage on Medicare for long-term care that you might need. Overseas travel is kind of sketchy. Some plans do cover, but Medicare, original Medicare, is very, very limited on what coverages and benefits they offer. You're going to have a $250 benefit for overseas coverage. Routine foot care. Here's another one that's not covered. Routine foot care is not covered by original Medicare. Now, it is covered under some of the plans you can purchase to cover what Medicare doesn't cover, but original Medicare does not cover that. Moving on to the last question, will I pay a penalty if I don't enroll on time? The easy answer to that question is yes. you will be penalized. And the unfortunate thing with the penalty is you will be penalized for life if you do not sign up for Medicare during your initial enrollment period and if you do not have credible coverage. So let's say if you do not have an employer-sponsored plan or your wife does not have an employer-sponsored plan and you choose to not sign up for Medicare, you will be penalized. The Part B premium, you'll get a penalty for that. It's 10% for every 12 months you did not sign up that you should have. Yes, that goes up to 100%. So right now for 2025, the Medicare premium is $185. If you did not sign up for Medicare for the last 2 years, it's 20%, which is roughly $37. That goes on top of the $185 that you would have to pay for. So that follows you the rest of your life. The other penalty comes into play is for prescription drugs. If you do not sign up for a drug card, then you will be penalized. That formula is 1% of the national average times every 12 months that you did not sign up for a prescription drug card, and that could be extremely costly to you. So those are the top 5 questions that I run into on a day-to-day basis, meeting with all of the new Medicare recipients. I encourage you to check out all of our other videos we have out there on our website. And if you have any questions, if you're nearing 65, either currently enrolled or looking to enroll or review your current plan, please reach out to us. We're more than happy to help you. We can go through each individual scenario and figure out what's going to be the best options for you moving through your Medicare and retirement.
The conversation begins with you reaching out, going to the website, arhq.com or americasmedicareassociates.com. Again, find out more about that upcoming workshop on Tuesday, including how to go and reserve your seat. If you can't make that for any reason, you can also just set up a time to speak with Scott directly there at the website or give a call, 419-794-3030. Now, Scott, earlier in the show, we were talking about the 5 most common Medicare questions. Not necessarily the most important, although those are important, but the 5 most common ones. I have no doubt that there are questions out there that people aren't asking that they probably should. And I'm sure you bring that to light in the office when they come in to speak with you. So let's take a little time right now and talk about Medicare questions that most seniors actually forget to ask.
Yes, this topic right here is one that most people don't ever think about, and a lot of people don't ask certain questions. You know, I get the standard typical questions. You know, we went through it earlier where, you know, the top 5 questions, you know, you could look over the website. There's all kinds of top 5s, top 7s, you know, top 10s. There's all kinds of different questions that people are currently asking. But there's a lot of questions that people don't ask, you know, and it may be a situation where, you know, they don't always come up. You know, I don't know, a lot of you listeners out there, you may all of a sudden get home and say, wow, I should have asked this question. I forgot about it, right? That happens all the time. And these are some of the things that are typically overlooked. So one of the things, and I've addressed this in the employer video that I did or that we're working on, do I have to stop HSA contributions before my Medicare starts? So I was doing an event a couple of years back, and at my event I was talking about employer plans and HSAs and things of that nature and why you need to be aware of whether you have an HSA and whether you should sign up for Medicare. And a lady came up to me and she had, you know, like a tear in her eye, and she was looking at me and she said, I've got a real problem. And I said, well, what's the problem? She says, I have been 65 for 2 years. I'm still working, and I signed up for Medicare Part A. I go, well, that's not a problem. She says, no, but I've had an HSA for the last 2 years, and I max out my contribution. I said, now that's a problem. But I was able to put her mind at some ease. So here's the way the regulations and rules work. If you sign up for Medicare, Part A or Part A and B, original Medicare, you must stop contributions to an HSA 6 months prior to signing up. If you do not stop the HSA contributions, you will be subject to penalties and an excise tax. The easy way around this and the easy way to take care of this is any monies that you have contributed to the HSA for that period need to be removed from the HSA account. So I went back and I talked to a CPA who will, at this point, remain nameless. And I asked him a simple question, what happens if this does come up and becomes an issue for somebody? And one of the things that he mentioned was, if they are audited and this does come out in an audit, then they can be penalized and be charged that tax. So to answer that question, yes, if you are signing up for Medicare, you must stop contributions to an HSA account. Why do some eligible seniors not sign up for Part A at 65? Well, there again, the two things that I've just mentioned. One, they may not sign up for Medicare Part A if they have an HSA account. Like I mentioned, there's no reason to sign up if you want to continue to contribute to that HSA. The other reason would be is if you have a employer-sponsored plan and the employer-sponsored plan is lower than what Medicare cost would be, then you would not want to sign up for Medicare Part A or Part B for that matter. So in order to keep an HSA account or having low premiums through an employer, you do not want to sign up for Medicare Part A. Do I need Medicare if I have VA benefits? This is a great question, and a lot of people never think about it. It doesn't even cross their mind. The simple answer is yes, you should sign up for Medicare even if you are on VA benefits. VA benefits, just an explanation, is for the veterans. And I want to thank all of our veterans for their services. I do that every time I see one. If you are utilizing the VA for your health care services, a lot of people think that I don't need to sign up for Medicare or have any other plan. I would tell you that it is in your best interest to sign up for Medicare and choose a plan that is specifically designed for our veterans. I have many plans that have great benefits. Some of these plans actually will give money back into your Part B Social Security check for your Part B premium. It works with the VA. It does not replace the VA. A lot of people think if I sign up for Medicare, it's going to replace my veterans benefits. That is not the case. They work hand in hand, and they're actually a great option for those of you that are using your veteran benefits. Go to the VA, get your prescriptions, use their benefits afforded to you that you sacrificed for, and sign up for Medicare and get some of these other plans that are going to help you as well. A lot of people don't know that they have that available to them. What happens to my Medicare if I move? Another great question. Your original Medicare, your Part A, Part B, original Medicare, the simple answer is nothing. Nothing happens to that. Everybody 65 years old or older that has actually signed up for original Medicare, I don't care where you live in the United States, you've got the same coverage for across the country. Nothing happens to original Medicare. Now, if you have a Medicare supplement or a Medigap plan, nothing happens to that as well. You do not have to, you would want to change address, but you do not have to change plans. But if you have a Medicare Advantage plan, then you are moving from one service area to another service area. You definitely want to change address and change plans. The big reason for that is because of the networks. An Advantage plan has a network. And if you're moving out of a service area, your network will change. That will trigger what's called the SEP, or the special enrollment period. You will be allowed to make a change to your plan and get a plan that is going to be better served and have a broader network for you in the new state or city that you're moving to. Next, can Medicare drop me for any reason? In general, no. They cannot drop you for any reason. So if you're signed up for original Medicare, they can't just arbitrarily say, well, we're going to get rid of this person. They have too many claims, or for whatever reason, we're going to drop them. That cannot happen. But here's what can happen. Remember, Medicare Part B comes with a monthly premium. If for some reason you stop making that premium payment, then your Medicare Part B will be suspended and or canceled. Okay? Now you may be asking, well, if I'm taking Social Security, how can that happen? It doesn't happen if you're taking Social Security, because it comes right out of your Social Security check. But this is for those people that are not taking Social Security, that sign up for Medicare and will get a quarterly bill. If you do not make that payment, then Medicare will cancel your Part B. Okay? Doesn't happen very often, but I have had it happen. What we need to do is we reinstate the Part B. You have to pay all of the premium and catch you up, and then we reinstate the insurance plan that you had. Does Medicare have a network? Well, there again, original Medicare does not have a network. Okay? If a doctor accepts original Medicare, then you've got coverage. Now, doctors don't always have to take original Medicare. Don't confuse that with Medicaid, original Medicare. If the doctor takes Medicare, then there's no network. Now, where a lot of people get confused when it comes to networks is the actual Advantage plans. And like I mentioned earlier, Advantage plans do have networks. Okay, so the networks on an Advantage plan is what you have to pay attention to. But original Medicare does not have a network. So these are just 6 of the questions that a lot of people fail to ask. They may think about it on the drive home. They may have someone else ask them that question, and they, may reach out to me. But these are not questions that I typically get. But I felt that it was very important for you to know and understand that there are questions that you may not think of that I'm always top of mind, and I want to try to make sure that everybody understands. So if you have a need for more information, you want to know more about Medicare, reach out to us. This is a passion of ours here at AMA. We do our best to make sure that we answer all of your questions, and even those that you don't ask. So reach out to us, and we're here to help you and make life as easy as possible moving through retirement and through your Medicare days.
You can go to americasmedicareassociates.com to set up a time to speak with Scott and his team. Just because you don't ask these questions doesn't mean that they're not important to know. Fortunately for you, by listening today, you are better informed. The next step, of course, is sitting down and figuring out how it all affects and impacts you. As I said, go to americasmedicareassociates.com or give a call, 419-794-3030. I want to remind you one more time about that upcoming Medicare workshop this Tuesday. You can go to the website, find out more information about that there, and go ahead and reserve your seat. They do ask that you do reserve your seat. Also, you can find out more about it right now because, Scott, since it is coming up here in just a couple of days, it's Tuesday, let's talk about what people can expect at this Medicare workshop.
So, Chris, one of the things we do at our workshops is this is an educational workshop. This is not a sales event. We don't do sales events. We try to educate everybody on Medicare. People ask me, well, what do you do for a living? And I tell them I'm an educator. And they say, oh, you're a teacher. I go, no. I educate people on their health benefits. So one of the things you can expect is we're going to go through the Part A benefits in detail, the cost involved and what your out-of-pocket costs are for Part A hospital. We're going to go through Part B and line by line with what Part B covers, your out-of-pocket costs, the monthly premiums. We're going to talk about how to enroll in a little bit more detail than what we get into here on the radio. We're going to go through how to enroll and what you need to be prepared for. We're also going to talk about prescription drugs. And probably the biggest thing that we're going to start talking about here real soon is what's on the horizon for Medicare. It is changing. We will be finding out here in the next couple, 2 or 3 weeks, exactly what's new and exciting for 2026. Not everybody thinks it's exciting, but what is new? So our workshops are very, very relaxed. They're very laid back. I like to have fun. There are some topics that we laugh, and there's some topics that we cry about because of the pain involved in the Medicare process. Come on out. We encourage you. You'll get a nice meal from the Red Lobster. The butter baked biscuits are all low calorie. That's what the waiters tell us. I'm not sure that that's the case, but no, we go through everything you need to know. We do have question and answer sessions that will allow you to ask questions, and we'll give you as much detail as we can in a very limited time frame.
Again, that next workshop coming up this Tuesday at 6 p.m. at the Red Lobster. Find out more information, including how to go and reserve your space on the website, arhq.com. And if for some reason you can't make it and you just want to sit down and have that conversation with Scott, can't guarantee he'll bring you a cheddar biscuit. But if you want to continue that conversation and begin working on your Medicare plans, answering the questions that you may have, reach out, 419-794-3030. One last time, 419-794-3030. As always, I want to thank you for joining us here on America's Retirement Headquarters, home of the Retirement Guys Formula, America's Medicare Associates and Retirement Tax Partners. Please have a great week ahead of you. Scott, good to see you. Appreciate the time. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with the final word.
Well, thanks again, Chris. It's great to be back on the show. And I want to thank all of the listeners out there for following us and listening here on Toledo's #1 talk radio station, 1370. Have a great rest of your day.
America's Retirement Headquarters is located at 1700 Woodlands Drive in Maumee, Ohio. You can reach them by calling 419-794-3030 or online at americasretirementheadquarters.com. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Investments can fluctuate and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. Nolan Baker is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Please consult with your attorney, accountant, and or tax advisor for advice concerning your particular circumstance. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Nolan Baker, Ohio Insurance License Number 27787.